Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.
It is you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. My name is Becca Dukes, and I am excited to be able to share more information that is empowering you as an individual and things that you can do to help yourself along this thing we call a health journey. This program is being sponsored by dailywithdoc.com. If you were invited by somebody specific, make sure that you get back with them as they cared enough about you to share this program and with you. So we want to make sure that you tell them thank you and tell them also what you liked best about today's program. And if you're watching us on any of the live streams or a replay on any of our channels, make sure that you click that subscribe or follow. And you will then get notifications, if you have your notifications on, of when we go live or when we put new content up, as we want to make sure that everything that we have found that works is shared and heard by others, because they may be searching for the same thing that we've already found solutions for. So my name is Becca Dukes. I am the Director of Student Services for the Institute of Holistic Health. I am also the owner of Better by the Minute Life, which is the owner of this program, Daily with Doc and Becca. As the producer and hostess of this program, it is my honor and privilege to welcome each and every one of you. This is a live Zoom. So if you are here live with us, make sure that you have that chat open, as we have Marilyn and Phyllis both putting information into the chat. And if you are watching in the live stream or replay and you'd like to join us live sometime, we are here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific, 1 to 2 Mountain, 2 to 3 Central, 3 to 4 Eastern, and 9 to 10 at this time of the year in South Africa, which I think is the same as UK, but don't quote me on that. Go to zoom.dailywithdoc.com. Again, that's Zoom, ZOOM, dailywithdoc.com. Also go to our website. Make sure that you sign up for our newsletter so that you can get information as it is hot off the press, and also replays of our programming to come or in the past, so that you can easily access that as well. We do on our website have a good foods, bad foods list to give you some helpful ideas on what to and not to eat for optimal health, and a little bit about myself, Dr. Wallach, and pharmacist Ben. Now, today, and a store. The store is for those who are not working with somebody, who were not referred to this program by somebody specific. So if you found us on your own, feel free to use that store, and also feel free to use our call team. I have a bank of certified holistic health coaches for those who have never spoken with anybody or tried the products at 949-3377. So without further ado, today we're going to be talking a little bit about technology. Okay. So you think technology, what does that have to do with nutrition? Well, actually, sometimes we need a little more help to get that nutrition where it needs to be. So today we're going to be talking about the technology of quantum frequencies like microcurrent, terahertz, scalar, and Rife, and how they can help our bodies. And we have one of my good friends, Yvonne Rea, here to share with us today. Hello, Yvonne. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Daily with Doc. Let's get you up on the screen with me. There we go. Hello. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
So, you know, one thing that I like about technology and using Zoom like this,
What?
you're on Pacific time, I'm on Eastern time, and we can come together and share with others around the world at any time.
Technology does enhance our life, doesn't it?
Well, it really does. And I think that ties into today's topic as well with technology and things that can be used to enhance our lives. And you're kind of a specialist when it comes, not kind of, you are a specialist when it comes to using these frequencies for quote unquote healing, the healing devices. So in a nutshell, Yvonne, can you like tell us about frequencies, the different devices, you know, kind of like that Star Trek medicine type stuff?
Absolutely. Well, I love that you just pointed out that we are here via technology while we are probably nearly, what is it, close to 3,000 miles away.
We are.
Yeah, and so a lot of the devices that you just mentioned fall under something called quantum or quantum frequency healing devices. And so to first understand, I just want to put out a term or two so that it's a little clear and it just doesn't sound like I'm making up stuff. So quantum, we've all heard that, quantum physics, quantum mechanics. I am learning about quantum biology. Those quantum in simple terms refers to the smallest possible unit. So the really, really teeny, teeny, tiny subatomic particles. And so that's the first term I want you to understand. The second is frequencies. So, you know, as a reminder, frequencies, what is a frequency? It is a rate of rotation. Everything, absolutely everything has a rate or a wave that it rotates, that it oscillates, that it's, well, it's measured in hertz, but like sound or light. If you remember in school, we learned that the universe is standing still. We've got those gravitational waves and pulls and disturbances. So I want you to keep these things in mind as, you know, I continue to talk about this. Also, here in our universe, we have laws of physics. And I'm going to set something up before I get into some of those laws of physics. When we go into the ocean and go deep sea diving, that is a completely different universe, and they have different laws than we do here. As humans, if we want to survive in the sea, there are very specific things that we have to do to even be down there for a brief moment of time. And then the same thing is true when we go into space. For starters, we have to wear some sort of breathing apparatus because in those universes, we cannot survive. So I just want you to, again, I'm trying to just set some things up. And then there are 12 laws of physics, and just to put a few out there, gravity, thermodynamics, Gauss's law of electromagnetism, which is kind of where my interest started, Kepler's law about the planets orbiting, okay? So when we talk about frequencies or Star Trek medicine, we're talking about these devices that have been designed, developed, created by these waveforms. And this is interesting that I'm familiar with. All of these waveforms come from the sun. And what they do is they offer a way to impact our body. And the devices that are cleared, FDA cleared or cleared in one of the other nations, they're actually helping the body as a whole. And there's actually a whole family of machines. You hit on them. You've got Scalar, which, if you remember Nikola Tesla, he founded Scalar in the earth. We've got terahertz. We do know that terahertz are a waveform from the sun. And if I remember correctly, they're like the last hour of the sun comes in that terahertz waveform, which actually helps provide healing to the body. And so I want you to think about, these are typically, smaller devices. They're inexpensive. They are effective with so many different conditions. I, first was interested in them for the pains of the body because I'm a pain specialist. Started with using MicroCurrent first, which is working on the electrical system of the body. We are not just chemical beings. We are chemical, we are electrical, we are spiritual, we are emotional. We can be impacted both positively and negatively by sound, by light, all of these waveforms. And again, these devices not just help with pain, but we're talking about musculoskeletal, sports injuries, strokes, things more serious, angina, infections. In Canada, as well as the EU, they are actually using some of these devices as portable emergency devices. The microcurrent in one is a portable emergency defibrillator. So was that a nutshell?
Well, so, I mean, that's a big nut, actually. That's a very big nut. So they're all using frequencies,
Yes.
right? And we're biological beings.
Yes.
So help us to understand how we as biological beings can respond to frequency.
Sure. When these waveforms come upon the body, they're going to either be harmful, hurtful, or helpful. Now, the body has its own internal or signals. And so when they approach the body will regulate or self-organize this thing that's coming in. And how these devices can help the body is the experts, they have put together, before they make the device, there's always a testing device that is made first. And something like in the way of, I'm going to say like fractals. they are generated and can read or give an output of how the body's responding to these new oscillations, these new waveforms that are entering. So much like chemically, that would include both anything pharmaceutical, but also nutritional. That's working on the chemical of the body. Microcurrent works on the electrical of the body. Now, things like Scalar and Terahertz, interesting, those are they're bioenergetic. And then like Rife actually is a little interesting because what I know about Rife is it works mostly or often, excuse me, maybe I should state it like this. Oftentimes it's recognized for its capabilities of improving health by eliminating things that are oscillating like viruses, bacterial, funguses. And then, our onboard pharmacy, our brain takes that information, can release things like, let's just say, endorphins. Endorphins act like a natural morphine. And then, of course, there's other neuropeptides that will be responding. So the body is being given these choices to begin help heal itself. Now, I do want to make it very clear, these devices in no way are actually replacing missing tissues. Only nutrients do that. We are, matter. The devices we're talking about are in a quantum or frequency. It's not actually matter, it's waveforms, it's energy, it's constant, it's oscillating. And remember, it's in its smallest form. And so the nutrients help rebuild. I look at the nutrients of that, whatever we put in this pie hole. Are you putting in enough where you're just barely surviving the day? Maintaining your current status? Most people don't know anything about dosage, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But again, these devices do not replace missing tissue, but what they do is begin to remove these burdens from the body so that the nutrients you are taking in can actually help the body, not just use it for repair, but literally for rebuild, that brick and mortar, like the myelin sheath in something like Parkinson's or MS. We know that the myelin sheath has degraded. There's holes, there's literally missing tissue there. And if you get not only the right nutrients, but enough of the right nutrients to actually rebuild, we can see that happen faster. What I've seen, this is like when I use these devices in my clinic, it has shortened the healing curve of, whatever I was doing before nutritionally. I've greatly reduced that healing curve.
Okay, so you just mentioned microcurrent working on the electrical part of the body. Can you explain the significance of the 4 different types of tissue and
Oh,
how they relate to chronic health conditions?
yeah, absolutely. So, you're going to understand this. Many of your viewers will catch this. We know that research shows 80+% of all conditions, chronic conditions, fall into 4 categories, and they fall into 4 basic tissue types. What's really cool, I want you know to go check out on YouTube. There's lots on YouTube about this, but just type in, what are the 4 basic tissue types? So in the 4 health categories, we're going to talk about these 4 basic tissue types. Now, the others are combinations of these 4. Did you want me to actually kind of touch on the 4?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah. So understanding these, and I'll just first say them and then I'll kind of go into them. We're talking about the epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, nerve tissue, all right? Each of these play a crucial role in maintaining our health. And like I said, over 80% of all chronic conditions are going to be about these tissues. And so, for instance, epithelial, right? That is the surface, the external and the internal lining of our body as well as our organs. Nutritionally, epithelial tissue is somewhere around 70 to 80% protein, amino acids. Pretty cool. Connective tissue. Now, these are cells that are surrounded by a matrix. We understand it to be one collagen. Some call it the matrix, fascia. And again, this is another protein comprised of, amino acids, several of them, and then other supporting nutrients, obviously vitamins, minerals, uh, to help them be productive and healthy. Now, when your connective tissue, which by the way will be the largest of the tissues that we're talking about, they can be affected, like, let's just say, chronic inflammation. Think about this. Anything with itis after the word means inflammation. So if you have a condition that has itis on the end, you have some sort of an inflammatory problem, and that tissue is in a constant state of, I'm going to use the word fire, and so it's degrading. That tissue is wearing, thinning. Think about arthritis, osteoarthritis, all ending in itis. Stuff's getting burnt up. So like I might take a frequency device like the MicroCurrent because it's FDA cleared to reduce pain, help that inflammation be resolved. Now we know nutritionally the connective tissue, like I said, is proteins, collagens. And then there is the third of the 4, that's going to be muscle tissue. Now there's a couple different types of muscle tissue. I'm not going to get into those, skeletal, cardiac, smooth. All of them, though, are surrounded by connective tissue. They bind together, and then they facilitate the body's ability for movement, both voluntary and involuntary. Okay. They also help us in the digestive tract to move food along, either, coming down using the throat organs, and then all the way down through elimination, even including things like, the muscles for breathing, speech, blood circulation, that would fall under that. And again, we're talking the significant portion of muscle actually is water. They say it's something like 60%, and then it's proteins and some fats and other minerals and nutrients. and then there's nerve, right? So nerves, these consists of neurons and then supporting cells, and they are our signalers, and they help the body communicate. So like in microcurrent, oftentimes I will have my clients drink a formula that has not just electrolytes, um, because when they have the additional trace minerals in there, I get greater signaling from the cells. So my client goes from kind of like a dial-up to a high speed. Does that make sense?
Well, that makes total sense. And, as you're talking, you're mentioning the proteins, the collagens that we're made up of, which really brings to the point that we need to continue to make sure that we're giving our body those things. And I love how you just mentioned you give them this concoction to your clients, because then things are it helps to activate, right?
Yeah,
So
and so like I said, we're signaling. So imagine, so I talked to just a minute about the microcurrent. So just know this, in the body, chemical over electrical, chemically, things go 70 plus times faster than they do chemically. So when you're looking to help your body repair itself of something, again, my first choice is going to be electrical because I can make things happen faster. But chemically, the electrical can't do anything. Well, that's not true. It does stir up the compounds in the body, the neuropeptides, the essential fats, it'll help these things definitely connect.
now let's talk about that connection regarding nutrition, biology, and how this technology, it's like a marriage.
It is. It's a one. I call it a stunning marriage. Yes.
So share with us a little what okay, and you've said part of this already, but let's reiterate how that is a stunning marriage rather.
Okay. So we just covered the four basic tissue types. We know that 80% of all conditions, this is not our opinion, this is well documented, are going to fall under one of those four tissue types, right? So we won't even get into the others. But those four tissue types, the marriage here happens when, let's just say we got a husband and wife going on, biology, technology, one of them is lacking. Oftentimes, because we are chemically focused here in the States, mostly on lab designed chemical products, uh, that can take the body so far, the chemical designed, the lab designed. So by bringing in the technology to help remove burdens, and what do I mean by that? I think I just kind of touched on it, like you said. Um, so let me just mention, I mentioned microcurrent earlier. Let's talk just smidge about terahertz, which I know, we'll introduce some more of this stuff again, but terahertz has a very unique range. And one of the things that it does for the cells is it influences gene expression. It also impacts the protein formation and the cell's activities. So if I can biologically change something, we all have burdens in the body. I'll just give you an example for myself, Camp Lejeune. I worked with the Marines when I was stationed there. I had a lot of tissue issues going on. Okay. Um, and chemically, everything that I was being given to suppress a symptom, but it wasn't really getting to the root cause. And it was the microcurrent that at first I took that microcurrent because what was not happening biologically, I used a technology and actually used it on my liver. My liver was heavily striated. My liver looked like a brisket. And if you know what a brisket looks like, you got these little thin individual pieces of meat. It was really scarred very badly. So I started using these devices, this technology, and added additional nutrients. And what I eventually began to see is that scarring of the liver began to improve. Does that make sense?
And that totally makes sense. But I know others are going to have the same question that I'm going to ask now is, how did you see the change? What technology or imaging was used that you were able to identify the change?
Well, for starters, let's just talk about my energy, my sleep pattern, my focus, my ability to concentrate with less brain fog. So physically, I just started recognizing improvements. And then it was probably, it seems like it was about a year so my first imaging was an ultrasound of the liver. And then it was about a year, it might have been a little bit longer than that, because they didn't really have reason because I was improving. So oftentimes they don't go in just to check, but my labs were improving. My complaints were improving. The symptoms that I was complaining about, the symptoms that initially I was taking pharmaceuticals for. You know, they were masking a symptom, but they weren't addressing any of the root causes. Now, at the time when this was happening, I didn't really know the root causes. I had a lot of things going on, and none of it seemed to mesh together. So much so that they actually sent me, to go talk with a psychiatrist. So it must be something emotional with her because we can't find anything. Now, can we be sick emotionally? Absolutely. How many of us, we know this. We can not only think ourselves ill, but we can think ourselves well. God, when he spoke the world into existence, everything that comes out of our mouth, it's a frequency we are creating. You are, in fact, creating what you set out. And if you oftentimes speak about your illness, many people identify with their illness, we get what we ask for. And we may not be asking for it, but we sure are talking about it. Now, that's probably separate, but I do believe that. I've seen it. You can look at, folks like Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's been working with the University of San Diego. I don't quite remember all the numbers, but I know he has nearly or upwards of 8,000 brain scans. And those people that are thinking and speaking differently than when they first went in there, they're seeing, biological changes in the body. And it's not with the technology, but it is with their belief. There's the placebo effect, right? Mayo Clinic tells us about the placebo effect. It's 30% effective. We know in quantum biology, it's actually greater than that. It's something like 50%. That actually makes me think about Christ and the things that he said.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this is a perfect spot to inject this. So Annie out on YouTube, she says she's loving the information provided as her husband has been receiving treatment via microelectrical stimulation, along with proper diet and the vitamins and minerals, and that they get from longevity. And she says life is better.
Absolutely. So there's a marriage right there. And by utilizing the electrical stimulation, in my opinion, and I don't know exactly what type you're using, but I do know, like with what I'm using, I see this reduced effort on the body because you're removing some burdens with the technology, and then the biology of the nutrients can come in. And instead of repairing a wall, they're going to rebuild it if you get in enough. Now, I know we were going to talk about dosage, but go ahead.
Well, and that's the next thing that I was going to talk about is
Oh,
the dosage. Because earlier you had mentioned dosage or size matters.
okay. Yes, size
Okay.
does matter.
So somebody that is, 150 pounds compared to somebody that's 75 pounds or even 300 pounds, they're not going to get the same dose, are they? They don't eat the same amount. Why would we expect them to need the same amount of nutrition?
That's a great question. I think we have and I have no idea how it began, but we have this false belief that what's on the label is what I should be taking. What I want you to understand is the label oftentimes is what is allowed by the FDA. It's not about, hey, here's enough for me to repair and rebuild my body. No, here's enough for you to survive the day. I mean, not even maintain your current status. So I don't have enough glasses here, but let's just say, hang on. Can you see this?
Oh, well, how many glasses do you need? Because I've got a few here.
Uh, give me four. All right.
Four?
Yeah. So let's just say this. Here's the label. Here's enough for you to survive the day. We're not talking about thriving. We're not even talking about maintaining. Okay. The average label is not about, here's your maximum. How many of us, we look at a label and we're fearful to take more than the label? Now, let me make a clear statement. When I'm talking about this, we're talking right now, you and I, about nutrients. We're talking about nutrition. There's lab designed, and then there is whole food. Anything that I'm talking about is going to be about whole food. Because even when it's lab designed, that is a synthetic, it will have it's literally a different compound, and it will have a different effect on the body. So please note that. So I've got a whole food, vitamin mineral complex right here. Oftentimes, because of what the FDA requires of the manufacturer, there'll be a minimal amount. Here's enough to survive the day. All right. Now, if we did a double dose, here's enough for you to maintain your current status. Well, I don't know about you, but I got some issues. I got some tissue issues. I'm looking to get rid of them. And that's what happened to me before understanding dosages. And I think it was God ordained. He brought in these technologies, these frequency devices. And guess what? Even with just the maintenance dose, I got improvement because many of us are doing our nutrients, but we need something to get us over that proverbial hump. So here we've got enough to maintain our current status. Well, what if you want to thrive? What if you're an athlete? What if we need, like, I was told for 12 years I had a MS, not ALS. My dad and grandfather had ALS, but MS. And I don't just want to thrive, I want to rebuild. So here's number 3, and you've got number 4, right? And that's enough for the rebuild. Because remember, I got to use, this is enough to survive the day. This is enough to maintain. Now I've got some, because hey, we're running around, we're busy. I got to utilize this up. You got to make sure there's enough in there for the rebuild. And that's where size matters. That's where dosages come into play. And, I love what Doc Wallach is doing. If you've read any of his books, and just so you know, when I was in school, they were using his rare mineral books. So I was familiar with the name before I knew the man or anything about him. But, if you look at that, he covers very clearly what these are made of. And then he breaks down minerals from the organic, inorganic to metallic. Love metallic better than the rock or shale or the shells, the eggshells, the limestone, would be the metallic because they've wrapped them in an amino acid. But even better than that would be something that is in a whole food form. And then obviously, again, there's so many ways to process foods. You can, dehydrate them. You can cold process them. 95% out there will put them to heat. And just as a reminder, vitamins come from the sun, minerals come from the soil. You start to heat things, you will impact some of those nutrients and their vitality. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Do I keep going?
Absolutely.
What's your next question?
Well, as we're going through, can you, actually, we have a hand raised. So why don't we just go to the hand that's raised?
All right.
And
Good.
Phyllis, what question do you have for Yvonne today? And folks, I didn't introduce Yvonne properly. As you mentioned through her talk that she has given, she is a pain specialist. She has many certifications. She sets clinics up for pain management and using different modalities in helping individuals like you and I to get through that pain. So that's why I love having Yvonne, because she incorporates not just the touch, but she incorporates the nutrition, she incorporates the technology as well that helps to open up those pathways within the body to be able to utilize the nutrition that's going in and get best results. So thank you so much, Yvonne. I apologize, I did not introduce you properly. But Phyllis, what question do you have today?
Yvonne, I find all this really fascinating, and I like how this can be the missing piece for some people who think they're taking a lot of nutrition and they're not getting the results they used to or think they should. My question is, if you have a client with a pacemaker, can that client benefit from microcurrent therapy?
Absolutely. Now I'm going to let me back up and make sure I'm very clear. There's more than one type of microcurrent out there. Any engineer can create a microcurrent, and you will find many have, and you can get them at the fairs now. Or something which is different, but people associate it as the same thing because it's still working on the electrical of the body. That's called a TENS unit. No on a TENS unit. And on the label of like the microcurrents that we use, for safety reasons, it clearly says do not use in this manner. with that said, there is a company out there that is working with, remember we talked about waveforms? Everything has a waveform. For nature, which includes plants, animals, and humans, we are on something called the sinus waveform. It's the same waveform that when you go to the hospital and you have an EKG, it is on the body, so it's speaking the body's same language. There are many out there that will be on and I'm just going to put some waveforms out there that are not natural, square wave, sawtooth, triangular. These would be waveforms of other technologies, and there can be some benefits. But it's a little bit like you and I talking here, Phyllis, but I'm speaking to you in Swahili. And actually, if it's a TENS unit, I'm screaming at you in Swahili. But for the other microcurrents, I'm still speaking to you in Swahili. What's your response to that? I'm not sure what to do with this, right? You might get some of what I'm saying to you, but so again, I hope I answered that question. I think I did, and maybe go back and check, check what I said. So there will be, you want to make sure that you're using the right device on the right waveform. Anytime I look at a device, I have companies that will send me stuff. First thing I do is I go to the specs, because if I understand what they're using, you can tell me everything you want about how wonderful this tool is, but I'll look at the specs based on what I know, and then I make my decision based on that. So, earlier we said size matters. What you got under the hood matters too.
I think Phyllis may have froze. Did you freeze, Phyllis?
I think she did too.
I think she froze. But that's a really good point that you had made in regards to the different types of technologies that can and can't be used within an individual. It's not a one size fits all. So what are some of the things that are, and I didn't present this question to you at all, when we're talking about chronic health conditions, what are some of the conditions that you would use any of these technologies that we've mentioned today, or not use them for?
Okay, so earlier I mentioned the terahertz. Something that I cannot do with a microcurrent. The terahertz, again, we're talking, let's just talk about the blood, the fluids of the body that the terahertz can impact. Folks, how many of us, or how many of you have heard, there are people that have sticky blood, thick blood, and thin blood. Those are three separate things. The terahertz has been documented to improve the stickiness of blood. Now, why do I care about that? Why do I care if my blood is sticky or not? Of all these vessels in the body, arteries, veins, capillaries, actually there's the most of. Those are the tiniest of veins. They're so tiny that they can only receive one blood cell at a time. So if you have sticky blood, also known as rolio, if you were to see it, and if you went to my Facebook, you can see, because we've done live dry blood analysis, they look like a stacked coin. The blood cells are literally backed up to each other. And when you have something like that, sometimes there's an oxygen issue. There'll be other issues as well, like neuropathy. because now with neuropathy, those tiny, tiny capillaries can no longer receive the blood cells because sticky blood. And sticky blood can be caused by a couple things, one of them being something as simple as how well I'm digesting my food, and I'm holding my stomach for those of you that can't see. So if you were my client, I might encourage you to get on some good enzymes. An enzyme, I have not seen another enzyme like this. That's the one, the ultimate enzymes. I love that one because when we talk about enzymes, most people are looking for singular. Is it about my fats, my carbs, my proteins? This one not only includes fats, carbs, proteins, but it also covers the stomach with the acid, and then, of course, the gallbladder liver with the ox bile for almost the same cost that people will be taking 2 or 3. And then it's got 2 or 3 different anti-inflammatory products in it, like the papain, the bromelain. I mean, it's an amazing product. But that's, again, if we were looking at sticky blood, that would be one place I might start. Another one would be their essential fatty acids. So I may or may not have them take a blood panel. And let's take a look at your omega-3, 6, and 9. Oftentimes, most of us, they say 90+% of us are deficient in our good fats because for centuries we have been told no fats. 80%, I think it is, by weight of our brain is those good fats and cholesterol. Our body is made up of proteins and fats. We can actually make our own carbohydrates. So I hope you can see, but to go back and answer, so that would be one thing. I can do that with the terahertz. I can't do that with the microcurrent. So there would be one example. And then, of course, I mean, when you go to look up terahertz, they're talking about not just gene expression. And, I am of the philosophy of epigenetics. Now that I know, epigenetics says, yes, the gene is there, but if you change the environment, it doesn't need to be expressed. Change the environment by your diet, by your stress levels, by the nutrient density. And then I lost my train of thought. Darn it, I hate when that happens. We were talking about essential fats, and where was I? Sorry about that. I saw that I froze.
I know that whole freezing thing. It's like the brain freezes just
That's
without even
exactly
thinking
what
about it. It's
happened.
like, oh no, what do I do? I keep flying the plane, but where was I flying to? Totally understand that. But you know what? We are coming up on the end of the show.
Okay.
And we do have a comment in. Folks, if you'd like more information about what Yvonne is sharing, like the technology, we want to remind you, if you were referred to this program by somebody specific, you get back with that person for the nutrition part of it. But Yvonne, we have a question coming in from YouTube. It says, God's divine mercy, so that's the person on YouTube, wants to know, where do you buy this device and how do you know which one to buy? So if they go to your website for Better You 2, for a Better You 2, so that's the number 4, a better, the letter U, the number 2.com, will they find more information about these types of devices?
No, they won't. I'll be honest with you. And if you want to take a look at my name right over here, you should be able to see, but it's forbetteryou2.com is my website. You can certainly go to my YouTube channel. My phone number is there. I'm a smaller outfit, but I can certainly hear what your needs are and then be able to best tell you, the devices that I've chosen, what else is out there and what, may or may not work. Like I said, if you've got a blood issue, I'm not likely to suggest that you use the microcurrent. And there are several different types of devices out there, and then there are different ranges in pricing. So some of them are home devices, but we have professional devices in clinic. So, and I'll just tell you, like a Terahertz, my clinic Terahertz, the home is like 30% of what I have in my clinic. And then there's, something the same with microcurrent. When 2020 happened, a lot of these companies began to recognize that, hey, our end user can't get into the clinics.
Mhm.
And so they did, develop these home devices, which actually are wonderful because, in clinics, they want us to, we've got this much time and we're going to try to do as much as possible in that time. So, my device might be a little more powerful, and or if you have more money than you have time, get the professional devices.
Right.
But you can connect with me that way. And if you want to include my phone number, my email is better@YvonneRea.com. And my last
Perfect.
name looks like Rea. It's REA, YvonneRea.com. Better at.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your email with our viewers and the information that was shared here today, folks. It is a marriage for optimal health because nutrition may not be the only thing you need. Exercise may not be the only thing.
And then there's prayer, right? And then there's prayer. And I know
And
I'm
then there's
coming
prayer.
back, I think on the 17th. So, bring your questions and we're going to kind of delve into one or two of the devices a little more specifically. Is that right?
Yes. I want to learn more about Scalar.
Yes. Okay.
So
That's a
awesome.
good one.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you, Yvonne. And yes, prayer and belief, like you had mentioned, people can think themselves ill
Yep.
and keep themselves ill with their thoughts. We can also think ourselves well. It makes a world of difference. So it's not just a one little branch. You've got the whole plant to look at, folks. We are plants. Everything is connected, and we're not just made up of one substance, as we were talking about today with the different tissues. So thank you, Yvonne. Thank you for being on with us. I look forward to having you on again on the 17th. So folks, that's next week. Make sure that you tune in. And if I can get our co-hosts up on the screen with us today, could not do this without my team as they're helping to bring all those pieces together as we're using technology in all different platforms to bring this information to you. Today we have with us Rod. Rod's out on the different platforms, taking a look, looking for questions, and also here in the Zoom. Thank you so much, Rod, for all you do. We have Kaylee, who's helping us with our social media presence. Thank you so much, Kaylee, for all that you're doing. We have Phyllis, who is, we call her our pioneer, as she is one of the individuals, her and her husband, some of the first ones to bring Dr. Wallach to the airwaves within this mission to help people understand the importance of nutrition and minerals. Thank you so much, Phyllis, as she's bringing in questions from the different platforms and also putting information into the chat. And we have Marilyn, who is Ms. Speedy Fingers. She's able to capture information and put it up quickly in the chat. And that's one of the great benefits of being here live with us. Thank you so much, Marilyn. And we have Sherry. Sherry is on our tech crew and bringing all of the different pieces for setting it up so that the stream actually works. Thank you so much, Sherry. And we have Ruth Ellen, my executive production manager, who keeps us online. And you know, it's hard to herd cats, but she's doing a really good job. So thank you so much, Ruth Ellen. And not on the screen, or are you on the screen? You're not on the screen. Why? Did you not fit?
Can't spotlight him. We're maxed
Yeah.
out. So I'll remove myself and he can be spotlighted.
Yeah, because it doesn't allow me to add him, just replace. Anyways, we have AJ. AJ is our director of digital marketing, who has been very instrumental in helping us get on all the different platforms so that you, wherever you are, wherever you're watching or listening, are able to find and hear us. So thank you so much, AJ. Again, my name is Becca Dukes, and you know, it is my honor and privilege to be able to host amazing individuals like Yvonne, who donate their time to help you as an individual find solutions. And like us, she has also found nutritional solutions through a company called Longevity. And we're following the teachings of Dr. Joel Wallach, where he has written 27 different books, over 77 published documents. He's also sued the FDA 8 times and won, allowing us to be able to bring this information to you, making sure that nutrition is in our baby formulas and our prenatal vitamins. And not just that, putting together with his team formulas that actually give the body what it needs, not just to barely survive, as we talked about dosing today, but actually able to start thriving. So get back with the person that shared this program with you. And again, if there's no one to thank, and you'd like to speak with a live individual to see what it is that's going to be a best place for you to start, I have a call team at 855-949-3377. Again, that's 855-949-3377. And if you have questions and you'd like to email us, you can email us at questions@dailywithdoc.com. And if you have recommendations of things that you want to learn more about, send in those emails as well to info@dailywithdoc.com. My name is Becca Dukes. I'm excited to be able to share this information with you. And if you would like to know more about becoming a certified holistic health coach, go to coach.dailywithdoc.com. Until next time, bye for now. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics, guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.